going to go ahead and, just for the sake of simplicity and speed, trace this design onto the canvas here. And all I've done is just taken a pencil and very, very lightly scratched the back. I prefer to use pencil instead of carbon paper because carbon paper is really, really hard to get rid of. And I think what I want to do is actually follow this plan so I can get some of the cascading hills and the ramparts you see here going down, and maybe even put the moon over here. Okay? And you'll notice I use blue tape because it doesn't really mess up the canvas when I take it off. Because this is a twilight, almost night shot, there's going to be a lot of dark colors here, so this does not have to be super precise. It just needs to be close. So for the actual tracing, I prefer to use a pen because the pen will give it enough muscle to go through the paper. Okay, so now I've traced all the major lines on here, and I'm not going to take it off 100%. I'm just going to take off these two right-sided pieces of tape. Basically hinge photo, like so. Okay. And now I'll take my pencil, because again, the pencil is not too hard to deal with the paint, but for whatever reason, the carbon paper is. If I'm not sure, let me show you a little trick. This is where your middle school or high school math can really become helpful. We'll call that 7 to 9.5, so that's 2.5 inches. Okay. The turret, we'll say, is 1.75. Okay. So I do 1.75 divided by 2.5. This length is 0.7, or this width rather is 0.7 of this width. Okay. You've got 5.25 inches. So what I do is I take that 0.7 times 5.25, and this turret should be 3.68 inches. And remember, that's the length at the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, I was close. But I got to bring it in just a little bit right there. All right. So next step is to get some paint going. I think we're just about ready. Once I'm finished with a project, I can just pull out the paper and throw it away, as opposed to scraping and using a bunch of chemicals to clean this butcher's palette. So I'm going to set this over to the side. So the first color I'm going to put down is Prussian blue. Burnt sienna, one of the most important fall colors, especially when doing skies. One of the most important neutralizing colors I use is Payne's Gray. If you go to Amazon, you can buy this package of paint for about 20 bucks. And it's got these really pretty, unique colors that I love to use. So we've got Champagne, deep yellow, gold yellow ochre, Naples yellow. So important for making transitions between sunsets, sunrises, and the rest of the sky so it doesn't turn green. I think we're just about ready to get started. So the first thing I'm going to do before I do anything else, because I know this moon is going to get so polluted, I'm going to take some acrylic white and go ahead and just very thinly paint in the circle of the moon. So at this stage, I've got my armrest ready. Our moon is just about dry to the touch. I think we're ready to paint. Let's capture some of these beautiful colors up here along the sky. I'll take some of this cobalt blue, ultramarine, white, alizarin crimson, and now I start mixing. Let's see what I produce. And I have to make decisions. I have to decide, do I want it more to the red or more to the blue? Or both? Okay. So we've got two beautiful colors already, but this isn't going to be nearly enough to cover this vast expanse of sky. So I need to make more. So make some more. And the reason I'm using a paper plate is because I know I'm going to need so much. I'm going to take some of the cad red, mix it with some of this cobalt blue. Notice I have not cleaned the knife yet, because the colors, they flow into each other. There's no need to really clean the knife at this point. We're going to use all these different colors. Let's get a touch of white in there. The white sort of dulls it, and that's not a bad thing. Again, not having cleaned the knife, this is going to be for my edges. At the very, very top, it needs to be pretty dark. It's a beautiful nighttime color. Okay. In mixing colors, I wish I could tell you that there was an exact formula. There really isn't. It's what you like, and mixing until you find the color that you like. And the one thing that I do want to do to this dark color is I want to add a touch of Payne's Gray, just to make it a little less radioactive looking, to dull it down just a touch. So I'm going to switch over to hyperlapse, and I'll see you soon. So what I've got is I've got a bunch of different shades of black to gray to brown gray to brown black and basically everything in between. So if I'm doing a highlighted area, I want to start with light and work my way into dark. And if I'm doing a shadow area, I need to start with the shadow and work my way into the lighter area. I put a little bit too much stand oil on this paint, so it's starting to stick. So I'm having to dip the brush into thinner each time, so if you do use stand oil, use it sparingly. So here I'm going to try and blend out and even out these ruins, which are somewhere in this neighborhood over here. And it's going to have this mottled look. And in some cases, this brush is too wide, and I'll have to go back with a smaller brush for the details that'll make it pop. But just to get down the basic structure, this is fine. So let's go ahead and start with the highlight and work our way down. So a damp brush into the sort of white brown we have here. Start up here at the crest, particularly where it's facing the moon, which is right there. Okay, so that's our light source. And then just start putting it on into nothing. And then just doing the reverse from the ground up. Because again, back here, the moon won't hit that. It will only get ambient light. So down here, get the brush with a lot of dark on it. Start from the bottom, work my way up. And by the time I finish this wall, this crumbling wall, it should be in possession of a very good gradient of color instead of it just being half one or half the other or some other strange fraction of the two. So that's basically the process that I'm using. And again, once I'm done laying down these basic colors, now that I've got the technique down pretty well, I'll go back with the script liner brush, this brush here, and I'll add highlights. And I'll go ahead and show you just very quickly what that's going to look like. So right now, there's not a lot of detail there, but we can fix that. So using this script liner brush, this very fine point, making sure it's not too dry, I can go in and on these lighter areas, just sort of tap it down. And this is a good technique to use while the paint's still really wet, because it sort of blends into it, which is what we want. Instead of having a mud color, it makes these, or it makes the illusion rather of individual bricks, individual stones. And it's those kinds of things that make the ruins look good and look like a mystical, real place that you'd want to go to. And all I'm doing is just laying the brush down like so. Okay. And I keep reapplying thinner, because as I said, the paint's too sticky right now. And that's my fault. I put in too much stand oil. You really only need a drop, and I put in a pour. And I didn't want to throw away the paint. And since my goal is to finish this today, I just figured I'd make it work with paint thinner. So I'm just going to finish the highlight on this wall, and then we'll go back into the high-speed filming. Alright, so I think this wall is about done. I'm just going to keep on working, so I'm going to go back into the high speed.